like, girl, go outside, especially if you're in a new city. Like, you could have stayed in your old city if you were just gonna be inside, right? Hey sis, welcome back to another episode of Sistervention. If you are new here and this is your first episode, I'm your host and big sister you never knew you needed, Crystal Chanel. And this is a podcast where we get real about womanhood, sisterhood, and all the things they don't warn us about. Today, we are talking about something that many of us has either done, we've thought about, or maybe even regretted: moving to a new city to start fresh. If you've ever thought about moving to Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, New York, LA, this episode is absolutely for you. Of course, I'll be giving you the real about what it's like to really move to a new city, how to thrive, and all the downsides, the loneliness, the dating, the money. You know I got you, sis. So sit back, but I will say this episode, we are going to be answering your questions. A lot of you guys sent in a few questions, so I want to tackle those first. So let's get into it. Okay, so I asked around and baby, y'all had some real concerns. The first question that I received was, how do I make friends when moving into a new city? I feel awkward walking up to people. Okay, I'm going to be real. If you are an adult, meaning 21 plus out of college, it is hard to make friends as an adult, especially living in a new city when so many people are working remotely. College, it was just so much easier to meet people because we're all there doing the same thing for the same reason. When you move to a new city, it's not easy. You're going to have to get out of that shell. And unfortunately, you are just going to have to kind of just walk up to people and say something. A lot of times I meet people out at restaurants or events. Events are a great way to meet people. By the time this episode comes out, we will have hosted our first event. I am so excited because the whole point of Sistervention is to really create the community on and off the platform. So excited. So if you do follow me and you live in the Dallas area, make sure you're coming out to our events to make friends, especially if you are new to the area. But if you are new to a city, look for local events, follow influencers and creators in your area and see if they're hosting events or they're going to events. Sometimes you just got to slide in those DMs. I don't recommend sliding into DMs for men, but if you slide into the DMs for another girly, it is approved, okay? It is approved. But I will say it's going to just take a little bit of creativity to figure out how to make friends. And what I want you to realize when you're moving to a new city is that more than likely you already have your best friends from back home or wherever you used to live. So I wouldn't put too much pressure on making sure that you have really close friends. I think when you move to a new city, you just want people to do things with, and organically that relationship will grow and develop and you'll start to get closer to them. But sometimes you just don't want to sit at the bar alone. I do it all the time and talk to random people who sit next to me. But if you are truly introverted, I understand that just sounds like a nightmare. So I would just start slow. Find people who are like-minded, whether it's at events or similar restaurants, or even if you're shopping. I see so many girls when I'm out shopping and, you just compliment them on something and then hopefully you strike up a conversation. People are a lot friendlier than they seem, especially down in the South. If you're in Dallas or Houston, the girls they're friendly. Now, some of them, we talked about the mean girls before, but for the most part, I would say the South is super friendly. So yeah, just say something, okay? Another question I got a lot was about the finances of moving. So someone asked, how do you avoid being broke when you're trying to prepare for a big move? I'm sorry to break it to you, but moving is expensive. It really does not matter if you're moving down the block or if you're moving across country. There are just so many expenses associated with moving. So I would just say prepare. When you've decided that you want to move, whether it's just apartments or it's states, just prepare. There's no way around it. Obviously, you could try to cut corners and use friends to help you move, but it's just gonna cost you. And when you get to a new city, it's very tempting to just want to do everything as soon as you get there. Pace yourself, sis. You don't have to try every new restaurant in the first 2 weeks that you live there because your money might run a little dry, okay? So I would just say, take your time exploring the new city, make sure that you financially plan to make that move. And if you gotta cut back a little to make sure that you move to your dream city, so what? At least you're here. And there's tons of free things in the city. So I would definitely recommend just going to that. And most people also are trying to save $1. So a lot of people do show up at free things. Okay, another question/comment I got was, I moved to a new city and now I hate it. I must say, this is a really, really hard one. I've moved about 4 times in my adult life, and I've loved every city that I've moved to, so I have not experienced that. But what I will say is give it time. Someone told me once that it takes about 3 years to really know if you like a city or not. And I know that is a long time to do something you do not like, but I do think that you should give it at least a full year to 18 months. I feel like I finally got my groove in Dallas around the 14-month mark. To be completely honest, I think part of that is really getting a routine and kind of figuring out what you like to do and sticking with that when you're adjusting to a new city. But it can be hard. It really can be hard. So the other caveat to that is you do not have to stay. If you decide to pick up and move and you don't like it, girl, pick up and move back. No one is holding you hostage at these places. And obviously, if you move for a job, and we'll get into all of that, your situation could be a little different, but there's always a way out. Okay. I don't believe that there's not a way out. So if you moved and you don't like it, it's okay. No one's going to be mad at you. It's your life, sis. So do what you need to do. Okay. Now we know dating was going to be a topic that comes up every time. So people have been asking, is the dating really different in each city, or is America just trash? I'm feeling positive today. I am feeling positive today. So I am going to say that, yes, the dating is different in every city, and you probably will not like this answer, but dating in a new city is what you make it. It is a whole new pool of people. So do with that information as you will. I think it's all about your perspective and how you want to approach dating in a new city. If you want to take it slow, if you want to hop on the apps and go on 500 coffee dates, I do not recommend coffee dates, but if that is what you like to do and that is what you feel comfortable with, go ahead, my good sis. But, me personally, I love that there's a whole new fresh batch of people every time I move. Now, what that batch contains, results may vary. Results may vary. But I do just think it's just an opportunity to meet new people. It's a new culture. It's a new way of thinking, a new way of living. The culture in LA is so different from the culture for Dallas. People here are so much more professional. They all have jobs. LA is just a lot more creatives and dreamers. So I think it just depends on what you're looking for. I do say that the culture of the city definitely has a lot to do with the dating scene of the city. So when you are picking your city that you want to move to, make sure you understand the culture of that city and what a lot of people value in that city and what's kind of the norm, because that definitely will impact who you date. All right, that was really fun. I like when you guys send in questions, so definitely keep them coming. I'll keep posting on my Instagram at Sistervention Podcast and on my personal Instagram, See So Chic, and we will get down to the nitty gritty. I am here to give you all the big sister advice, so whatever you need, I got you, girl. Send them questions on in. All right, so moving sounds glamorous, but let's get into the reality of it. I'll start with the good, and then, of course, I'll go to the bad. New opportunities. Whether you got a new opportunity to relocate for career, which is usually always a great sign. Sometimes being able to move on someone else's dime is really the best case scenario. I remember when I asked BET to move from New York to LA, the one caveat was we don't have a relocation fee for you, sis, because you don't need to be there. It's something you want to do. But it still provided me such a new opportunity that I honestly just was not going to get in New York. So for me, it was worth the move. Another good pro, whatever you want to call it, of moving is that you are able to reinvent yourself. And I will tell you, LA is a city where people take that opportunity and run with it, okay? I feel like that is the land of, let me reinvent myself. But truly, it is an opportunity. They're all new people. Honestly, a lot of times, especially when you're moving from back home, these people have known you for years. And when you start acting different, they want to know why you change. And honestly, I want to know, baby, why you stay the same. But either way, when you go to a new city, you avoid all of that and people are just able to meet you where you're at in that current season. And that's always a blessing. My last pro is definitely the fact that moving will force you to level up. You're out of that comfort zone, and there's just going to be those moments that are going to stretch you no matter how easy you think the move is going to be. There are definitely going to be some humbling moments, but that is actually a good thing. So I would never look at that as a bad thing. If you are looking to change your life and level up, moving to a new city may be just exactly what you need to do. Okay, I've been nice all episode. Let's get into the bad. So the first con I would say, or just it might be a little rough, is the loneliness. If you move to a city where you don't know absolutely anyone, it can be lonely. When I moved to Dallas, I knew one person, and we were not close. So it was I know they're here, but no. So I really was here by myself, and I just did everything in my power to get out and meet people and just find a routine that I loved. But I will say, it's just lonely. You're by yourself, especially when I moved here. I didn't have any coworkers. So it wasn't like I even could like use work as a crutch to just have people to talk to every day. No, it was just me, myself, and I. But I needed that, okay? But for some, the loneliness could be really, really daunting. So I want to just let you know that if you move to a new city, you might want to find one where you have a little bit of support if you know you're someone who needs someone else with you, or you just need that friend group or that support. Pick a city where you might have a few people that you already know or people that can connect you to that place. Okay, the second one is definitely the money. I feel like no matter how much you prep, there's always just going to be something unexpected with moving, and the costs just start to pile up, and then you're in an unfamiliar place. So it just can become very overwhelming. But I think, again, if you are someone who really wants to move, you just got to take the bad with the good. And my last one is, just because everyone is moving to that city does not mean that it's going to be a good city for you. I know everyone wants to be an influencer and they move to LA or New York, but those are two very hard cities to live in. Not only like because of how expensive the rent is there, but just the culture. New York is a grind, it's a hustle. You could be crying in the middle of the street and no one is going to stop and ask you if you're okay. That would not happen here in Texas. I promise you, if someone sees you crying, they will be like, oh my God, sweetie, what's wrong? New York, baby, I remember being in the middle of Times Square one time. My contact got knocked out. I could not see. I was going around like this. Do you think anybody asked me anything? No, they actually bumped into me. And I was like, you're going to knock out the other contact. It is a beautiful city. It is an amazing city. There is no city like New York City. But when I tell you, it ain't for everybody. It's not for everyone. You will be paying $3,000 to live in a shoebox without a washer and dryer. You need to love that. You need to love the public transportation. I think if you're a driver and you like to be in your car, New York City is just not the city for you. If you like a life of ease and softness, you either need to be a cajillionaire, live in the suburbs, or stay out of New York. You heard it here first. I am telling you, as a New Yorker, I love some of the qualities about New York, but I know for a fact that I could not live in New York City long term. I lived there for 18 months in Manhattan. I've grew up in Long Island my whole life, and I was like, baby, take me to LA. Take me to LA so I can drive because I grew up in the suburbs. That is what I am used to. I hate public transportation. So it's just not the city for me. But then I want to get into the girlies who think that they're just going to flip on their camera and move to LA and make it big. There is so much going on in LA that if you do not know who you are when you get to LA, I promise you, LA is going to be a very dark place very quickly for you. And while that's not everyone's experience, because it absolutely wasn't mine, I have seen so many people get lost and do things that they've never thought they would do living in LA. I absolutely loved my time in LA. I think it is so fun, but I also think if you do not work in entertainment, it might not be as fun unless you specifically love qualities about Los Angeles. You really need to actually love the city. When I was in the pandemic and saw that all of entertainment got shut down, I was like, wow, this isn't nearly as fun anymore. When I quit my job at entertainment, I was like, oh, I don't know if I could really do LA without all of that, because for me, that culture was such a big part of my life. Now, granted, the beaches are great, but I could take or leave a beach. I don't love it. I love the hiking, and that's probably the only thing I miss about LA, but the traffic is crazy. It's also equally as expensive. I will say it's very dirty in certain places. So if you're looking for like a beautiful city in California, it's not really LA, but there are so many opportunities. I think it's the land of dreams. So if you're someone who wants to be inspired, LA is a great city to live in. But again, there are pros and cons to everywhere. And I think it's important for you to decide, what do you love about a city? Because that is what is going to make you like the city. If everything were to stop, all that extra, do you actually like what the city has to offer, like its natural characteristics? I hear people talk about Dallas all the time and say, it's an ugly city, it's just flat and brown. I'm fine with that. I didn't come to look at the nature. I go on vacation all the time. So if I want to see pretty beaches and mountains and all that kind of stuff, your girl's not going to LA to see it, okay? I'm across the ocean. So I'm just saying, you got to take what you want out of a city. If you like the culture, the people, the vibe, that is what's so important, because only you have to like it, sis. Only you. Okay, so how do you actually thrive once you've decided, I got to my new city and I love it? My first recommendation is build a routine ASAP. I am someone who loves ClassPass. It allows me to try out all these different classes. Sometimes I am so shocked by the amount of people who do not know what ClassPass is. But either way, it is an app that gives you access to fitness classes. Somebody sponsor me, okay? ClassPass. Call your girl. Anyway, it is a app that allows you to have access to fitness classes, and that way you're able to try out all different types of fitness classes around you in your area, or you can just pick an area and go over there. But I love it because it's a great place to meet people, but then also it just allows you to kind of try all these different classes at a much cheaper rate. But build a schedule, build a routine. So whether it's fitness classes, finding a coffee shop that you want to work out of, or that you just love to get your morning coffee on your walk. Walking is another one that I have picked up that has become a part of my routine. I go walking. It's just great to clear your head, or after a meeting. Find your routine and stick to it. Okay? Those habits are going to help you just get that familiarity and not feel so out of whack in a new place. The next one is be intentional about why you moved. I think it's so important to remember your why in everything that you do. If it's for a new job and a great opportunity, soak that in, okay? When times get hard, remember why you moved. This one is a big one. You have to put yourself out there. If you sit at home, nobody is coming to be your friend. Nobody is coming to date you. You have to go outside. Ladies, I'm gonna say it again. You have to go outside. I hear so much, I am just a homebody. That is fine. Nobody is mad that you're a homebody, but you also don't get any brownie points for being the girl who's like, oh, I don't be outside. Okay, well, that's why you don't know anybody. That's why your life sucks. Okay, that was harsh, but I'm just saying, like, girl, go outside, especially if you're in a new city. Like, you could have stayed in your old city if you were just gonna be inside, right? Give yourself time. That is my next recommendation, to give yourself time. Like I said, I think about 18 months is that sweet spot to really know if you like it or not. But sometimes you don't have 18 months, okay? That lease renewal is coming up and you're like, wow, I hate this. Girl, it's fine, but give yourself time, okay? It can't be, oh my God, I've been here for 3 weeks, I'm miserable. That is not enough time. And on that last point, know when to pivot. As much as you need to give yourself time, if you are someone who knows yourself, if you say, hey, look, I absolutely hate this. I've been here for 6 months. If you feel like that's enough time and you can afford to break the lease or sell your house or whatever you need to do, go ahead and do it, okay? Life is too short to be unhappy. I will tell you that every single episode. We only have one life, so if you feel like this ain't it, pack it on up, sis. We going back west, we going back east, we going down south. Whatever you need to do to make yourself happy, because that's what we're all about, okay? We're just a girl. We are just a girl. All right, now I gotta give you that big sister, tough love wrapped in wisdom. Not everybody is meant to move to a big city. I'm sorry, you're just not. I talked about the whole struggle of moving to LA in New York, but sometimes cities like Dallas and Atlanta are big enough for you to get swirled up in. If you are from like the middle of Idaho, or you grew up in some hick town in the Carolinas, moving to a big city might not be for you, and that is okay. Or moving to a big city might be like you moving to Charlotte or moving to Raleigh. No one wants to move there. Well, some people might want to move to Charlotte. I don't know. But either way, I'm just saying that sometimes, you're not built for that. And it is okay. Or sometimes you're from a big city and you really want to just live countryside, and that is also okay. But don't believe the hype that if you don't live in Miami, Atlanta, Houston, New York, you're not doing it. Because if you've built a life that you love, trust me, you are doing it, because a lot of people out here are miserable. Okay. Now, ladies, if you are moving for love, please make sure that you have a plan, okay? I am all for moving for love. I think it's beautiful. I think I would never do it unless I had a ring. But listen, if you are contemplating moving for a man, I hope there is a lot on the other side of that offer. But if there is not, here's what I can tell you. Have your own place. And if you don't have your own place, have enough money to get your own place in case you need to. Have some type of income, whether you are able to get a job there, whether your job is remote. You need to make sure that you can survive on your own in case that relationship goes south. And I'm talking to married people too, because just because you're married does not mean you're safe, okay? And I know that it's a different level of security, but one thing about it, you came in this world and you are leaving this world alone. So what I want you to do is, if you're contemplating moving for a man, make sure that all your ducks are in a row and be excited. Don't let the naysayers get you down, but just know that you got you if anything else goes wrong. But at the same time, you're just excited to go be with your man. too many women end up in a city that they just don't love because they move for a man. A lot of times they end up staying. I don't know about you, sis, but if that relationship's over, me and that state are over as well. Or sometimes you're in the relationship and you just hate where you live, and that's a different situation. I hope that you're really making the best out of it, and there are sacrifices for love. But I'm talking to my girlies who have no strong commitment, and y'all are chasing a man. Sit down. Sit down. Thank you. Woo, I feel like we've just had a whole therapy session. This episode has really been so fun. But of course, we're at the favorite part of the episode where we get to have our sister vent. My sister vent of the week is really, really, really personal because I feel like this has been daunting me all week. In the midst of planning this event, which I know that by the time this episode comes out, the event will have been a success. But my God, when I tell you, just trying to promote this event has been really, really difficult. And when I'm watching TikTok and Instagram and people are telling the most ridiculous, silly stories and going viral, and I'm like, I'm trying to literally raise money for high school girls across Dallas and can't barely crack 300 views. It is just so frustrating how we enjoy mess so much. And when you are trying to do something positive, it just feels like it is the biggest struggle. And obviously entertainment and gossip is really exciting and it's salacious, and that's why people love it and it's easy to go viral. But when I say it can get so discouraging because you're like, I am just trying to do something good. This ain't even my idea. It's God's idea. And y'all are just like, scroll, next. Even with this podcast, I'm like, I am spitting wisdom and knowledge, getting the girls together. And y'all are talking about how y'all bought your own flights to go to Atlanta for a man who didn't even want to see you and made you pay for your own hotel. Like, if y'all don't tune in and get some real advice. And it's just so funny because, again, I don't know if you guys know that story that I'm referring to on TikTok. It went viral. I heard it made it over to X. But either way, it's just like, we love nonsense. And the moment that something is of substance, it's crickets. And it just really can get discouraging, but no one is going to stop me from doing what I know God put me on this planet to do. But wow, when I say the struggle is so real, because this week I was like, baby, if you want me to cancel this event, just say so, Lord. And again, I know it's going to be beautiful, and I cannot wait to watch this episode back next week because it's going to be like, girl, look at you over there crashing out for no reason, because I absolutely have been this close to crashing out about this event. But I am so excited for the event. I know it's going to be do well. But when you see someone doing something and promoting something and trying to really do good, it's different if they're just like trying to make money or like scam you into buying a course. But this is like real stuff. They're over here doing a fundraiser or launching businesses or just trying to do really hard things that take a lot of effort and skill and just strategy. Support them. It could be a like, it could be sharing, it could be, donating, whatever it is. But I think we've just gotten so accustomed to like, oh, whatever. It's like half of y'all haven't even done anything, which is why you don't see how much work goes into actually producing an event or producing a show or starting a business or just promoting your business, staying in business, maintaining relationships, clients, whatever. Woo. This is a real rant today, okay? But no, I'm so serious. And I'm someone who always have been well supported. So I'm not even really reflecting on me here because I've gotten so much support. But I'm just noticing how easy it is to go viral for mess. And when you're over here trying to do something positive, it's like those videos are literally cricket. So that's my sister event for the week. Whoopsa. I'm playing with y'all today, but I've had so much fun with this episode. But honestly, if you woke up and said, new city, new me, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I encourage you to get out of your comfort zone and take that leap of faith and move to a new city if it is something you think you need. But remember, the pros and the cons, the good and the bad, moving to a new city can absolutely be humbling, but is so worth the risk. Sis, I love you guys. If you love this episode, please rate it 5 stars only, of course. Send to a friend or just leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've ever made that move to a new city and what it took. Because honestly, I know I'm not alone. Leave a comment. Let the people know how real it is. But it could be so fun. So I'm excited. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.